Hi, this is Exploring with Em and Stu.
I'm Em.
And I'm Stu.
And today we are here in Kent at Chatham, where we're going to be exploring the massive Fort Amherst here, which was built to defend Chatham against the Dutch, I do believe. Plenty of information, bit of a fly-in visit, so we hope you enjoy it.
With tension with France increasing in the early 18th century, the decision was taken to fortify Britain's naval dockyards to protect them from not only sea, but also landward attacks. With Chatham being one of Britain's most important royal dockyards, its protection was seen as paramount, and in 1756 work commenced on what was first known as the Cumberland Lines. This consisted of a great fortification, which included ditches, ramparts, bastions and tunnels, as well as barracks to house the garrison that manned them. In the 1770s, the lines were improved by lining the ditches with bricks and with the addition of sally ports for greater protection. At the same time, the lines were extended, and two self-contained redoubt forts at Townsend and here at Amherst went on to be built at either end of the lines. In the early 19th century, more improvements were made, particularly to Amherst. This included a new barracks and guardhouse, as well as a tunnel system built to connect the fortifications, and the one here is occasionally open to the public for tours. At its height, the fort was armed with around 125 guns. These mainly ranged from 4 to 42-pounder cannons, located at various batteries around the fort. With such a big quantity of guns, of course a large amount of gunpowder would have been required. Much of this was stored in the Grand Magazine. Storing gunpowder was difficult, with it of course being highly flammable, but also of course needing to stay dry. It was stored in copper barrels to prevent sparking, and the men handling it would have had to change into special woolen clothing before entering. The whole building was also surrounded by cavity walls and tunnels to ensure good ventilation and prevent damp, as well as a ditch outside to prevent flooding to the low-lying building.
Okay, so now we're halfway through this little video of ours. We want to say a big thank you.
To the volunteers that work here, because they took us for a little bit of a backstage tour, didn't they,
Yeah.
of the big magazines, which you may have just now seen. Normally the public won't have access to that,
No.
unless they've got a special event on,
So we were
thanks for
given
that.
granted for that, so that's really great. But we're going to carry on with our video now, so let's get cracking.
A fort of this size would have needed a large amount of accommodation for the soldiers that were stationed there. The Prince William's Barracks is the only known purpose-built barracks at the fort, and was designed to house invalid gunners, who were a small detachment of men too unfit or old for regular service. Their job was to service and maintain the guns and stores. The barracks had artillery pieces on the upper floors, and infantry could have been fired from the parapet on the roof. In the late 1800s, this went on to become the barracks quarters for married soldiers, and later acted as an overspill hospital. One of the best preserved features at the fort are the spur casemates, built to ensure protective cover of the ditch that runs alongside it. These later became the barracks and hospital accommodation. In the 1800s, the large flat area was used for military punishment, such as flogging, and at least one execution took place here. This has now been converted into an outdoor arena, used for entertainment. By the 1820s, the artillery garrison had moved out, and the whole barracks taken over by the recently formed School of Military Engineering. As the range and power of artillery improved, the defences were being considered obsolete. The Royal Engineers began using the area for siege training, an exercise that regularly attracted thousands of spectators to witness such an event. During the 1860s, the lines were declared redundant, and demolition work to some of the northern parts began 10 years later. but the area continued to have a large military presence. During the First World War, a military camp was set up at the outer lines, with thousands of recruits being trained there. Anti-aircraft guns were mounted at Fort Amherst during both the First and the Second World War, with its tunnels being turned into a civil defence control centre. The site continued to see some use throughout the remaining decades, but was eventually completely decommissioned and sealed up. 1.5 miles of the original Chatham lines still remain, with most being publicly accessible, including Fort Amherst here, restored and looked after by the Fort Amherst Heritage Trust, offering free access to the public. But if you're one of the more adventurous explorers amongst us, abandoned parts of the lines can in fact be found all around Chatham, if you know where to look.
So that was a little look at Fort Amherst here in Chatham on the Medway.
Yeah, it's been a really good day. The volunteers have been really helpful, gave us loads of information, even took us down to places where we weren't even meant to go.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you'd like to come and have a little look around here, it's completely free. I think it's open between about sort of 9 and 4 o'clock at the weekends, possibly weekdays. And if you want to, for a small fee, you can also go and explore the underground tunnels where they give you a bit of a tour. Not open today, unfortunately, but I think we'll return in the future for that one, definitely.
We will. But as from Exploring with Emma Stu,
hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
bye.
Bye.
If you like this video, please subscribe from the link above.
And if you want to see some more content from us, we also have a Patreon which you can join for just £3 a month. There's loads of videos already on there with new ones every week. So we always appreciate your support, so please take a look.